Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wonyoung Seo. I'm working for KOMERI. So today I'm going to give you some tips on exploring the Saudi Arabia's market, and I'm going to share with you our research results as well. This is the content of my presentation. I will first tell you how to register as a vendor locally, and there are some requirements for investment in Saudi Arabia, so I'd like to share the process. This is Saudi 2030 localization policy. I'm not going to go into detail because other speakers after me will give you more information. So here I want you to focus on the picture at the right bottom. IMI, the circle represents IMI shipyards. This is where the Saudi Arabia's industrial complex is located. It is an equivalent of Busan industrial complex in Korea, for example. So this is where the IMI shipyard is located. So if Korean companies go there, we can create a bigger or broader complex. And to west-south, there is a capital city of the country. So it is well positioned for the maritime sector. And Hyundai Heavy Industries has 20% of shares in IMI. It is working hard to build a shipyard now as we speak. So Hyundai Heavy Industries will play a very important role here. And KOMERI is also working with Hyundai Heavy Industries and Korea Trade Promotion Agency. And I will share with you what our progress has been. We are talking about here small manufacturers. If they want to build a joint venture with the local manufacturers, this is what is required. And let's take a look at the timeline first. I think the timeline will be important information for you. Once again, I apologize. The other speakers will give you more information. So when Korean companies, manufacturers enter the Saudi Arabian market, their target is not Saudi Arabia only. They will be targeting countries, neighboring countries or other countries in the region. So you need to also know the local environment. For example, Qatar, it has a plan to make a huge order in Korea, and Qatar is very close to IMI shipyard. And the list of countries we are seeing at the bottom of the page, they are very important countries from religious. Saudi Arabia is a religious leader for these countries. So Saudi Arabia is well positioned to work with these countries. Large Korean companies have experience in doing business in Saudi Arabia, but small businesses lack such experiences, so they may take a longer time to get adjusted to the local environment. So since there will be this shipyard, a joint venture between Hyundai Heavy Industry and Saudi Arabia, if you do business there, there will be much easier. Now, this is a process for Korean manufacturers to be registered as a vendor locally. And KOMERI has supported manufacturers in other regions, but our experiences tell us that the small manufacturers didn't have enough capacity to be registered as a vendor in the region, and it takes time, money, and effort. And I want to highlight this process because Saudi Aramco is the large shareholder of the IMI, and Saudi Aramco will be the manager of the joint venture. And Saudi Aramco is an oil company, as you know. So when manufacturers source their components and raw materials, they may have to follow and comply with the requirements of Saudi Aramco. So you may have to follow different process to be registered as a local vendor, and the process will be different from the registration process in Korea. So you have to meet their requirements. So once you are a vendor, registered as a vendor of Aramco, you will benefit from opportunities. But the key is sustainability. You will spend much time on being registered as a vendor, and it will normally take 3 to up to 10 years. So for some of you, it might not be easy. And now, KOMERI and the Korean government and Hyundai Heavy Industries are already there, so we can say for sure that the business there will be sustainable, so you can get support from KOMERI, the Korean government, and Hyundai Heavy Industries. And I will tell you more about it on the later slides. So when Korean manufacturers do enter the Saudi Arabian market, they will be expected to meet and will contribute to achieving 2030 strategy of the country. Saudi Arabia will ask local and international manufacturers to follow the same standards and criteria. They wouldn't want manufacturers who only benefit from selling their products locally. They may ask you to localize your products in Saudi Arabia, so you have to be aware of the requirements of localization in the country. Saudi is unique in its geographical conditions, and I will tell you more about it later. In large Korean companies, EPC, they focus on design of products and procurement of products. And some of Saudi Arabian manufacturers, they can also produce their own products. So there was not strong demand for Korean manufacturers' products, but you might not be as welcomed as you wanted there, but things have changed. Hyundai Heavy Industry has 20% of the stakes there, and that would benefit your business. And KOMERI is trying to identify potential problems for Korean manufacturers when they do business in Saudi Arabia, so that they won't get some losses, unexpected losses. So meeting the requirements of 2030 strategy is a prerequisite for Korean manufacturers to be successful at the IMI industrial complex. So we have to continue to follow up on the requirements of 2030 strategy. Since I'm the first speaker in this session, I'd like to focus on the perspective of a research center. KOMERI is a supporter of manufacturers. So let me introduce you KOMERI. This is a government-funded research center. It is under the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy. Our main jobs include promotion of technical cooperation. We also do research on technical cooperation. The Korean manufacturers, when they export their products, they may need some knowledge or information on requirements of getting certification. You may be asked to submit certification or test results. So KOMERI is supporting Korean manufacturers' products to be duly recognized with certification and test results in Saudi Arabia. And we are also working with Korea Equipment Association, Equipment Manufacturers Association, to help Korean manufacturers to be legally doing business in Saudi Arabia. So when you want to build a company locally in Saudi Arabia, you should know their local laws and regulations, and there is our branch office in Saudi Arabia. They can also support you in the process. And Hyundai Heavy Industries can also support you because they also want equipment to be supplied reliably or consistently for their products in IMI. So KOMERI's main jobs include support for getting certification. This is the process through which we provide you with support. So at the early stage, KOMEA and KOTRA will support you when you build a joint venture, for example, in Saudi Arabia. KOMEA and KOTRA will do a feasibility study for you, and KOMERI will take care of technical requirements, and we can work with Hyundai Heavy Industries to identify technical needs for Korean manufacturers. And KOMERI will also do the test for you. As you know, Saudi Arabia is located in a desert, so the production environment and manufacturing environment will be different from Korea. So KOMERI will do a joint research on the production environment local production environment in Saudi Arabia. And KOTRA and KOMEA will give you support at the final stage as well. This is the process you and we are going to go through when you want to enter the Saudi Arabian market. If you need help, just contact us without hesitation. We will give you our full support. The reason I will tell you about this, I think today, because today and tomorrow,
디지털라이제이션을 하겠다는 회의를 지금 진행하고
Saudi
있습니다.
Arabia is hosting
사우디에서도
this digital
한국에서도
conference.
이런 지금 화두가 돼서 진행을 하고 있지만
As you know,
사우디 현지
digitalization is the way forward in many countries, including Korea, and Saudi Arabia is no exception. In order to increase productivity, digitalization has been taken as the most important priority for many manufacturers. So as you can see, Saudi Maritime Congress is being held in Saudi Arabia as we speak.
우리 기업들이
And we have
모두 다
Korean manufacturers here in this room, but not all, to be honest with you, not all
파견을 보내신다든지
Korean manufacturers can
생산 인력들이
do business in Saudi Arabia. Because there is no guarantee that you will have enough human resources locally, and you may have to work with multinational. So there could be some communication problems, and that need support as well. So we can help you with that. And this is
생산 관리 시스템을 하겠다는 겁니다.
a 3D digital twin-based production management. So let me give you more information on this. Let's say you have 100 components. And let's say your project has been 50% completed.
그런 거로 활용하지 않고 인터넷 기반에서 온라인상에서 품질 검사한 결과나
And you did quality tests online.
결과를 이제 기록을 했을 때 색깔이 같은 형태를 해서
And inspectors can do inspections online, and they can use a color code to make sure your components were inspected by the due procedures. Here, you have to expect that the person in charge will be rotated so they can take another job once they are ready to get your products
근무자가 바뀌더라도 어떻게 프로젝트를 지속할 수 있을 것인가에 대한 고민도
tested.
되는 것
So
같습니다.
you have to expect the change of a person in charge.
그래서 그러면 플랜트를 발주하는 쪽에서는 주로 이제 소스 인스펙션이라고 해서 이제 소싱하는
And this is what we call source inspection. Let's say you manufacturers provided your equipment, and you have to make sure the equipment is functioning as it is supposed to, and this requires tests. Once you don't pass the test, you will face troubles, you will be in trouble. As you can see on the left side, there are people in charge of procurement. They are in the yellow boxes. So you will be part of this process to make sure sourcing from you is effective enough as you promised. So we have to think about how effectively we are going to manage this. If we have a flow chart like this, that will make your job easier. And if we can integrate ERT system with this, that will be a big help to small manufacturers. That is why we came up with this flow chart.
실질적으로 이렇게 예시로 하나 들었습니다.
This is an example.
히트 익스체인저를 검사를 할
This is
때
an example of heat exchanger test.
내가 만들어야 되는 입장이나 그리고 제3자나
Let's say the project owner
관리를 하도록 되어 있습니다.
as well as the manufacturers
너무 아이템이 많은데
should
이런
manage
거를
the test together.
해외에 나가서 저 플랜트 업체들을 상대로 할 때 해내야 돼요.
But you have to meet these requirements when you get an order from project owner or who that is a
어떻게 도와드려야 돼요?
plant operator.
이제 좀 부가적인 요소들 디지털로 적용을 해서 최대한
And digitalization will make this process easier so that you don't have to communicate between with other people.
로스를 많이 줄일 수 있을
And
거라는
if this process is done
이런 부분을
digitally,
먼저 보시면 될 것 같습니다.
we can save costs and
실질적으로
time.
이제 케이스로 이제 이 부분을 준비했습니다.
This is a
일단
real
이제
case.
플랜트에 올라가는 이런 이제 설비를 하나를 두고요. 그럼 실제 저희가 1번부터
This equipment is actually
생산할 때
installed at a
인증이 되는
plant.
부분, 그 용접이죠.
So you see this
용접에
list
관련된
of
부분을
equipment,
저희가 제대로 잘했는지에 대해서
and there
평가를
are
받는 일련의
certain
과정이라고 보시면 될 것
criteria
같고요.
to make sure
10번부터
this
23번까지는
equipment is
실제
well produced
현장에서 설치를
from
해보시고
number 1
표현할
to number
때 두 가지 기회가
13.
생깁니다. 예, 사실상 세팅에서
They are, you have to test your equipment against from number 1 to number 13. It could be a welding problem.
어떻게 저희가 그 기술 지원을
Then
잘
how are you going to
것인가를
troubleshoot the problems?
그러면
You
저희가
can
한국에서나 한국에 있죠 엔지니어들이 도와주는
check
많이
this list.
그렇다고 사우디에 다 들어가서 일을 하실 수는 없으니
You cannot bring Korean engineers
온라인상에서
to
직관적으로
Saudi Arabia,
이제 저런
so you may
아이템에
have to
대해서
troubleshoot the problem
확인할 수가 있다면
locally.
좀더
at the site.
나은
That is why we developed this list,
그런 이제 고민으로
this checklist.
진행된다고 보시면 될 것 같습니다. 그래서 여러 가지 이제 서비스를 제공해드릴 수가 있고요. 그래서 여기
So this is part of the services we
각각의
can provide
아이템의
you
이런 이제
with.
검사 보고서들
And this is
품질
an
검사
example
보고서,
of
제3자,
quality
성급이라든지
assessment
감독관들이
report.
최종 승인을
Registers
해줘야 되는 그런
or
부분들에
inspectors.
저희가 포커스를 맞습니다.
They are the one who give an approval for this report. The left side shows equipment, and in the middle you are seeing a report of test report of the equipment, and each report requires an approval. Once you get approvals, for example, you have an approval for 50 components or products you produce.
그 실시간으로 현재 여기까지 되고 있거든요. 그럼 어떤 문제가 있으면 어떤 문제가 있는지
You can check it online in real time.
그런 이제 장점이 있다는 걸
That's
말씀드리고 있습니다.
a kind of advantage you can enjoy. That's a kind of
이
benefit you
부분은
can
실질적으로
enjoy.
현장에 적용했을 때 왜 제가 적용해야 되는지에 대한 부분은 굳이 저희가 멀리 안 가도
I don't think I have to tell you why we have to do this, because this is also happening in the Korean shipyard, so you must be familiar with this.
조건이 텐데 한국에서 이 부분은
Other countries
외국
have
나가서도 이게
poorer
가능하다고
production environment like Saudi Arabia compared to Korea, since you are a Korean
그래서 저희가 3D 모델링
manufacturer.
링크상에 가장 쉬운 것부터 하자는 거예요.
So I'd like to suggest we start with the easiest one in 3D modeling.
속된 말로 뭐 놀고 있다는 분들이 이제 많다는 얘기를 들어보셨을 텐데
You must have heard about idle labor
이 일에 맞는
at plant.
사람이고 어떤 문제가
So it is very
생겼는데
important to
연락을
make sure
즉각 조치를 요청해야
everyone
되는데
does their job. So if there is an emergency, you have to have the emergency contact tree so that the right person can right away work on troubleshooting. They will increase your productivity.
그래서 이 3D 화면상에서 그런 생산
So this is the screenshot of 3D modeling. You can check information of your partner companies,
여기에 대한 이제 자원이 얼마나 들어갔는지 그리고
and you also
이제 얼마나 소요가 되고
can identify how much resource is required and how far your project, the project you are working on,
그렇게 된다면
is completed
이런 화면을 이제 고객이 이제 직접
on the screen.
저희가 이런저런 설명할 필요 없이
So you don't have to give too much explanation.
고객하고 그냥
You don't have to explanation. You don't have to spend too much time on communicating your customer. All you have to do is to check this screen.
그래서 설비 자산비 보존 관리라고 지금 이렇게 좀 기재를
This is
해놨는데요.
for equipment maintenance.
그럼 저희 기자재 업체들 입장에서 또 안 좋은 케이스가 저희도 이제 한 번씩 그런 연락을 받거든요.
Another concern is we often see that, let's say, a project owner says,
교체를 해야 되는데
this is a product coming from you. We bought this from you 10 years ago, but
이게 생산하고 있는 게 없는
you are now out of business. So
실질적으로 저희가
who should I contact
를
to get
만들어서
after service?
하는 것보다 유지보수를
So maintenance in some way is more important than sales itself.
다른 지인까지 만들어서 줘서 납품하는데 너무 사실 열중하다 보니까
The Korean manufacturers tend to focus too much on producing products, but the business environment has changed and has evolved.
기업들이 시장을 청결했던 기회가 많이 있을 거라고 보고 있습니다.
So we should do more
저희가 이런
in
기록을 다 관리를 해야
the maintenance
정비력이라든지
area.
우리 아이템에
So we have to increase maintenance labor or maintenance resources, but maintenance can be done online.
이 프로젝트에 대한 정보를
So who's going to take it doesn't matter who's going to take the job. Whoever takes the job should be able to
계속 고객 대응
be good at maintenance.
고객들하고
This is part of customer satisfaction. You have to be good at responding to your customers' inquiries.
지속적인
Then you can build trust with them, and they will lead
그래서
to
마지막에
lasting
정리를
business
우리
relationships.
비자재 업체에서
This is
왜
the last
필요할까?
part of my presentation.
3D 모델링을 이제 해야 되는데 직접 라이센스를 도입해서
Korean manufacturers, they want to do 3D modeling. That means they have to buy a licensing, but it costs a lot, and it is time limited, like 1 year. So our solution is that, like you go to YouTube, we post these technologies that is publicly available for you, but still we are working on IoT, sensing, whether you can work on sensing online. I'm not sure about it because we are still developing it and working on it. But once we get the development done by next year, we will make it available.
앞선 강연 그러니까 기술 강연에서
This will be my last comment. In the previous sessions, you heard the importance of technology development.
이런 이제 디지털 관련된 부분을 먼저 선결을 하고
So digitalization as a top priority should be taken seriously in Korea as well as in Saudi Arabia. And that's all I have. Thank you so much.